All right, we're good. So, everybody, thanks for joining us for Training Thursday yet again. Really excited to have Yvette back. I think most of you would have probably met her, what was it, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
The end of
Time,
February.
time
Yeah.
has flown by in some ways and not in others.
Whatever.
So welcome back. We're really excited to have you here. And yeah, so what's going on in your life?
All right. Okay. So first of all, it's great to see everybody. I can see a bunch of people now, even though it's virtual. It's awesome to see you. And I was speaking with Brock this morning, and I don't know if you can hear and see me okay. Hopefully you can. But when I was speaking with Brock this morning, I said, it feels, even though there's aspects of family here, because I do have my lovely niece and nephew here, but it's nice that I'm reconnecting with you all, even though it's virtual. So my own nervousness, I guess you could say, has gone down a few notches because I go, okay, these are great people. These are fun people. So, I could go and start lecturing you and giving you all the mental health tips, et cetera, et cetera. But what I thought I'd do is I'd introduce a few things that I feel would help with maybe how we're viewing things or how we can see what is happening, and then maybe do a question and answering. So there's something that you need specific support, because it's really not fair of me to get up here and say, okay, do this, do this, do this, but you might not be experiencing those things, and those things might not be helpful. So it's really important to hear from you. How can I, and I'm going to do a Jerry Maguire here, but how can I best support you? Help me help you. So one of the things that really jumps out now, I think we're 6 weeks into this, 5 weeks, feels like 6 months, right? But it's been about 5 or 6 weeks where we've had to really shift and change the way we do life. So right now we're in our new normal, and even our new normal isn't going to be a normal. We're really just navigating as we go. So I invite you to really think of, you hear, the good news is that we're all in the same boat, that globally we're all going through the same thing. The truth is we're not all going through the same thing, and we're not all in the same boat. So maybe reframe it this way, that we are all in the same storm, right? We're all in a storm right now, but we're in different boats. Some people's boats are sinking. Some people's boats just got promoted to a yacht. It really depends on where you're at in your own life. And there's some days where you might feel like, my boat's pretty good. I got a good dinghy. It's like pretty solid. And then the next day you discover a hole in it and it's starting to leak. So it's not a static situation. It's not, this is the way that it's going to be for the rest of the term that we're in. So I invite you to really think of that and get out of that comparison. Because I know myself, for me, I don't know where this came, but baking. I've been baking really healthy food. I'll talk about that later on. And for me, I find when I start getting melancholy or sort of quiet, or I'm off, I just don't feel right, I go to baking. And for me, having something I can work towards, a live project, something that I can create, helps me, because it's something I can say, I can take this and make it into this, makes me feel like I've accomplished something, which helps me in my energy moving forward in the day. So for me, baking, cooking, creating is a feel-good thing. But for some, they might look at that and go, like, Martha Stewart overdrive here, I don't want to bake. I have no desire to bake, and that's okay. So I suggest that, when you start that comparison of what so-and-so is doing over here and what so-and-so is doing over there, to stop that, bring it back to what is actually happening for you in this moment, and be very gentle with yourself. Gentle in that, okay, the news. So for some, and I have days where I'm literally glued to the TV and I'm following every little step. And then there's days where I go, I can't even look at the news. So like this morning, for example, here I am coming on here. I'm thinking the last thing I want to do is fill my head with news to come on here. So I didn't even turn the news on this morning. So I changed it up a bit and gave me a clear headspace to do what I need to do here. So when you find yourself being obsessed or over doing something, news would be an example, to pay attention to how that's making you feel. Because for some, it can be an anxiety creator. And you get sort of stuck in a bubble. You get stuck in the zone and you forget about what's actually happening, going on around you. So when you find that, turn the news off. Look for news sources. I'm a firm believer, yes, you want to know what's going on in the world. I think it's very, very important. So I'm not suggesting ixnay it completely, but maybe, you know, part of your ritual in the morning, you get up and you check the news and you see where things are at. Is there anything I need to be aware of? And then turn it off, and then maybe check in later in the afternoon. So for some, no problem. You can have it running in the background the whole day. And then for some, it's just going to add to their own anxiety and stress levels. So turn it off. And also be very conscious of where you're getting that news from. Go to the proper sources, go to the government websites, go to the news channels that you trust and value and have experience with them. So getting out of that comparing and compassion for yourself and what you're going through and for others. So try not to get, irritated if you see someone getting upset, or they're having a bad moment, or they're just, not feeling good about what's happening. Having compassion for what that person is going through. And remember, this too shall pass. Whatever it is you're experiencing in that moment, it only has a time frame, similar to the storm, right? It can only rain for so long. Sometimes it rains longer than we would like it to, but eventually it does stop. So whatever it is that you might be going through actually does come to an end or a pause. So when you're in it, that feeling of like, this is never going to end. The truth is it will come to an end. Zoom fatigue is another one that I've been researching as well. So here we are now, all virtually. We go to our Zooms, and this is the Google platform. So Google any form. There's I think it's called something party out there too. There's all these wonderful video systems that are coming up to support these kinds of meetings. Something I invite you to remember that. First of all, now we've gone from an office environment where you're in your own offices, no one bugs you, maybe they knock on the door. But when you're in this scenario, when you have it on video, you can see people's expressions, and it's like you're on. So that energy is tiring too. When you're not used to being on, and now you're going into a video format, that can create an anxiety for some people. So be aware that it's very natural to feel a little tired if you're always on these Zoom calls. And boundaries too. So think of it this way. Imagine going to a bar and you're about to go on a date, and your mom and dad are there, and some colleagues from work are there as well, right? So then all of a sudden you have, in the same venue, the bar, you have all these aspects of your life coming to one place. So it can be confusing. So in the day you're on the Zoom with your colleagues getting work done, and then you're right afterwards you're going right to a call with a friend or friends, or you're maybe having a cocktail party. So remember, it's kind of all blurring together. So it's really important to have those boundaries for yourself. And remember too, we're missing that drive home. Right. So I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I left work, I would have that, say, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, to really review the day, or even a bus. If you're taking the bus or the subway, you had time to yourself where you would reflect on the day, maybe, get excited about what's about to come in the evening, or read or do something for yourself. And now we're tending to miss that connection. We go right from our office right into family life, and going right into family life. So remember to take time for yourself. So when you are done your work day, and it will vary for all of you, but when you're done that work day, actually plan a cutoff time, and then some self-care time in that, where it is just you, where you can reflect, whether you can do some self-care things that make you feel good. And when we go to the Q&As, we can talk about what some of that might look like. And just going back to, remember when I spoke with you guys about anxiety. Right now, there's a lot of heightened anxiety. Even going to the grocery store, there's fear in that, or there's a level of fear. So we're in a state of anxiety, which, remember, is not necessarily a bad thing, because anxiety is something, a state that can support and help us moving forward. We do have a threat there, and it's natural to have that anxiety related to it. So be aware of that and give yourself permission to have that anxiety feeling. But remember, going back to some tips of how to support that. When you find you're too much in the anxiety, and I call it the spin, and things are coming at you and there's no focus, really bring it back to the moment. What can I focus on in this moment? It could be even feeling the bottle, like taking a bottle and actually grounding yourself and feeling what does this feel like? It's plastic. Taking a look around the room. What are some of the things that I see? Okay, I see TV over there. I see Maggie. Oh no, she's gone now. Maggie was there. She usually is my support dog. And I'm glad she's not barking. But taking a look, so bringing you back into this moment. And another thing too, and this is something I discovered, I mean, I've discovered it all my life, but it was really brought to the forefront the last few weeks in relating to this. And I'm like, how am I going to teach this, or how am I going to communicate this to be helpful? So gradual. We are going through a gradual process. So if you can reflect on how you feel now, is probably most likely different than you would have felt back 5 or 6 weeks ago, because we're now gradually coming into place to what is. And I'll relate it back to my mom, Margaret Murray. So that would be the grand or num of Brock and Amanda. And, you know, if you told me a month prior that my mom would be dead in a month, I don't think I could have handled that. I don't think I would have been able to digest that. I don't think I would have been able to show up the way that I did. And so why I'm using that as an example to talk about gradual. So every day within that month period, we had to manage and cope with something new. And it was a gradual process. So if I jumped to the end and went, holy smack, there's no way in hell, right? So when it comes to the virus and where we are, it's very easy to think too far in the future and get ourselves into a panic or emotion of what it's going to look like. Trust that right now it's a gradual process. So if you can reflect back to how you felt at the beginning to how you feel now, chances are you feel different. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better or worse. And that's another thing I invite you to think about too, is not judging or labeling what it is that you're going through, whether that feeling or emotion is a good thing or that feeling or emotion is a bad thing. It just is. It just is your emotion and your feeling. You only give yourself something, energy or a meaning when you make it that. So for some people, this virus, for some, is an opportunity. For some, pivoting their business. For some, and I'm sure you're in that energy of how can we make the most of this scenario. And then for some, it's devastating. For some, it's a recalibration of their lives. It's not a good or a bad. It just is. So I invite you, when you start getting into that comparison and I shouldn't be feeling this way, or you know, I can't believe they think that way, or I wish they'd be more positive because I don't want to hear this negative crap. When you start doing that, realizing that you're putting a positive and a negative to it, and it's not a good or a bad, it's just a feeling, and the feeling will pass. I'm just thinking what else I can throw in here, because I bet a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about or want to talk about is going to come up through the questioning here. Okay, one more thing. Remember, we are resilient. We've come this far. We've come our 5-6 weeks. Now, when you find yourself falling into that, oh, I don't know, and feeling not worthy and less than, and I don't have what it takes to survive this or thrive in this, I invite you to reflect back, and this is something you can do on your own time, of a time in your life that you've overcome something. And again, don't judge it. It could be very, very small. It could be very big. You could even go back to not knowing how to ride a bike. And now I know how to ride a bike. And now I know how to ride a motorcycle. I don't know how to ride a motorcycle. But if, for example, you did, look back at things in your life where they were very challenging for you and how you overcame those and you became resilient. Remind yourself, because we are here today with all of our experiences that brought us here to this moment. So if you need a little reminder, just reflect back. Some other things you can do is reflect back on good memories, pictures. I mean, I find myself getting caught up, and thank goodness for Apple, because I've discovered the whole photo and all that stuff, and I'll go through albums, or I'll go back to look at a specific date to say, okay, I know I made a note on that date, and I'll go back, and next thing you know, I'm going, oh, I forgot we did this here. Oh, remember that? And go back to those memories, those feel-good memories. That will help shift the energy as well. Okay, so I think we can go to questions and answers, Brock. Meaning, the question for you really is, how can I best support you? Is there something that you're experiencing that you need my insight on? I do want to remind you that I'm human too. Yes, I have a wealth of experience as a mental health trainer, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to know exactly how you're feeling. I'm going to know exactly what to say and do to make you feel better or to make it better for you. But I'm going to do my darndest to do that. I'm going to bring all of my own toolboxes, things of my own experiences, and support you in that way. But I do want to do a disclaimer that I might not be able to solve your problem today if you consider it a problem. But I'm going to do my best to connect with you and support you. All right, so I don't know if we have any brave souls that are going to go first. Brock, I think you're going to manage how we do this.
All right. Well, does anybody want to ask Yvette any questions?
Or comment?
I'll go ahead. It's Derek.
Oh, who's that? Derek. All right.
Hey, Derek.
Hi, Yvette. How are you? Great intro. Thank you. So I'll just, my one thing or a couple things I'm struggling with right now. One is just like capacity, just kind of being overwhelmed, even though our business in some ways has slowed down. In other ways, it's gotten really busy, and it's created challenges. So capacity to me creates a lot of stress. And then also I have like, when I wake up in the morning, like I have like this like morning dread. And it's hard. Like usually I get up at like 5 a.m. I get to work really early, but with everything going on, just kind of the added stress, I have like this dread in the morning. And once I get up and I start working, like it goes away, but it's like, that's my biggest struggle is like the mornings. So I don't know if you have any thoughts, any strategies on number one, like the morning dread, and then number two, how to deal with stress related to capacity and kind of feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, so first, the morning dread. It's very, very natural that you're feeling that way. I mean, we're in a state of emergency, really, and waking up going, oh, bloody hell, is that real? I mean, that wasn't a dream. I mean, this is our reality right now. So it sounds like once you get going, you start to feel better. So my suggestion is to start what they call a gratitude journal, or even in your mind, where you wake up, the very first thing you do other than go to the bathroom, well, you just lie in bed and actually think of what are things that I'm grateful for. And when you focus and change your energy on something that you're grateful for, you'll be able in a better position to manage the other things that might be going on in your life. So what would be an example of something that you'd be grateful for?
I mean, family, the business is still, doing well, especially relative to all the businesses out there that are struggling. So yeah, I know there's lots of things I'm grateful for sure.
Right. So focus. So your family's one. Breath might be another one. Like literally going back to the basics. My mom used to say, "Wake up," and she'd go, "I wake up in the morning. Thank God that I woke up."
Mm-hmm.
Right. To the fact, I mean, just go right back to the basics. It doesn't have to be anything fancy and flary. The bottom line is you woke up. You're breathing. You might have in your situation, you probably have a roof on your head. And I don't want to, because not everybody has a roof over their head. But you say, "I have a roof over my head." I woke up. I'm not late. I got up early enough to start my day. I didn't sleep in today. Thinking of things of gratitude. When you do that, you watch. It'll shift, and so you end up looking forward to waking up in gratitude. And I'm not saying that you think when you wake up tomorrow morning you're going to go, okay, I found 5 things that I'm grateful for, and you can write it down or just have it in a mental log in your mind. That the next day you're going to wake up and not feel the dread. This is something that I invite you to on a regular basis, to start focusing on things in your life that you are actually grateful for. As far as managing, the stress load, I find for myself, when I start, I have to go back to, well, what is creating that stress? Is it me putting too much on myself? In being my own worst enemy, like whipping myself into shape, like you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you got to do this. Start looking at how it is that you're framing the stress or framing the work is one way as well, because we can get caught up in that anxiety of all the things that I have to do, and then it's actually that freeze. You know how we talk about flight, fight, and freeze. There's that freeze component where we literally freeze and not able to function or to manage the next task. So looking at how are you viewing those stressors, like you're viewing them as a stressor because you've spoke that. So maybe shift it to projects, maybe shift it to something that has a better feeling for you. And then here's another one. I'm not sure Brock is going to like this too much, but yes, we have a structure of 9 to 5 or some 7 to 3 in different hours. Well, maybe take a look at your schedule and what it is that you're scheduling in what periods of time. I have actual friends, it might be a bit different in this scenario, but I have friends where they don't look at their emails until a certain time of the day, and then they compartmentalize it and they go, okay, this is my email time. So looking at what your structure is, what your duties are, what it is that you have to accomplish in a day, and maybe reflecting on, is there a better way we could be doing this? Is there maybe a different timing that I could be looking at this? And I think taking those breathers in between are good too. Having you might go, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time because I got so much now. There's so much extra stressors coming on. But it's in doing those breathers, things like getting a healthy lunch, things like taking 5 minutes to go out and literally inhale some fresh air, getting some vitamin D when the sun's out. Literally those things can help you be more productive and help manage those anxieties around that extra stress load. So I don't know, Derek, if I've helped you there.
Yeah, definitely. I think the kind of biggest thing you said was, like, when you're overwhelmed, when you have a lot going on, like questioning, like, what is the thing that's really stressing me out? Because a lot of times I think I just kind of feel stress and I'm like, I don't know what exactly is causing this, and I don't take the time to really think about it. I'm just like, I'm just stressed and I'm just going to work and hopefully it goes away. But I think that's really smart to kind of take a step back and say, okay, what specifically is the problem here? And really kind of diagnose that first, and then, figure out, okay, how can I resolve this? That's really useful.
Okay, excellent. I'll give you an example because I can totally relate to it because I do it myself. So for the most part, I'm a pretty even keeled person. I know what I need to do, and I know my timing. I know how long something's going to take, and it's all good. But the minute you throw a wrench in there, oh man, it's like, no, I got to focus on this. No, I can't have any distractions. And my partner Dave is working from home as well, and I'll tell you, I'll be right in the middle of something, and then he'll come in and just start talking to me and wanting me to support him in something he's doing. And I'm like, and I actually feel a reaction. I want to help him, but I have to get this thing done. And it's that, okay, what do I need to do here? Do I need to set down a boundary to say, let me finish what I'm doing. I'll be with you in 5 minutes. But instead I get flustered. It's like, oh, I got all this all of a sudden. So really reflecting on how can I shift that in that moment. Yeah, and then and that's instantaneous too. I had a situation the other day where because I travel a lot with my business and training all over the world, I'm getting canceled right, left, and center. And there was a flight that was canceled from one of my trips, and they didn't send an email, nothing. And all of a sudden, I looked down into my portal there, and it said the flight was canceled. I'm like, what? And then there's panic, and then not knowing who canceled it. Was it a mistake or what was going on? And I remember feeling that anxious feeling. And I called my friend because I wanted to see if her flight was changed as well. And she was in the middle of cooking lunch. And so I said to her, I said, okay, I said, I'll put that aside. I'm not going to stress out. Like, oh, I got to know now. Like, I'm very much an instantaneous person. And in this world and society, we've sort of been brought up to be that way, especially with internet and stuff, to be very much instantaneous. And I acknowledged in that moment, okay, it's out of my hands. It's out of my control. I can't deal with this right now. I'll wait until she gets back to me. And I said, I'll just have to deal with my own anxiety around needing an answer now. So really, point, does it have to be this way, or can we do it a different way that helps support that stressor? Any other questions or feedback?
Actually, I just wanted to kind of hop in real quick. Hey, Yvette. Just talking about kind of like, that morning dread. Derek, something that I've kind of just been experimenting with is not touching my phone until I'm at my desk ready to work. So I'm starting to go about, an hour and a half every morning without looking at a computer screen. So making sure that, everything is good on my end. I'm fed, I'm, looking presentable for these calls, all that kind of stuff. Trying to get away from screens as much as possible. I know it seems really challenging, especially for you, Derek, because you got a million things going all the time. But I would say tomorrow, try and see how long you can go without looking at your phone.
That's a really great suggestion as well. I used to literally have my phone by my head. I used to lie there and have it. And so what would happen is I'd wake up, say, I don't know, to go pee at like 3 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. And what do? Is the first thing I do is I pick up that phone. And so what's happening is now I'm becoming awake. And now if there's something I saw in emails or communication that I needed to think about, or I start thinking about. So yes, taking that quiet time in the morning just for you. And for some, it might be the only opportunity you have for that self-care. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. Do your best to, I now leave it in the kitchen, and then I get up in the morning, do what I need to do, and then I'll go to the phone. But I still think I go to it far too quickly. There's probably a good opportunity for a little bit of breather there, because we're literally, especially in the industry that you guys are in, we're literally glued to it, right? So yeah, having those healthy boundaries.
Anyone else got anything?
And I'll just note, I think it's great too that Rory popped in. Don't forget, you have your own support systems within your own team, right? That you support. You guys have a wealth of information. I mean, you're doing SEO plus, you're researching, you're very, very knowledgeable yourself. And so it's important, if you can find a way to support another person, by all means do that. I think it's very, very cool. I have lots I could talk about. So if anyone wants to jump in, great, I can keep going.
I have a question. Hey, T. So mine's actually related more to the coronavirus itself and maybe stress around that. So, one particular instance in my family is like my grandmother, my mom's mom is, fiercely independent. She wants to go out on the bus and go, pick up a single banana or something like that. And it's causing my mom like tremendous stress, anxiety. She gets angry. I'm sure there are people on this call who have, grandparents who might be in health conditions, and they're, in other parts of the world, and they're concerned about their health, neighbors, friends, whatever the situation is. And it's just a situation where you have no control, and you have, again, all these emotions created by it. Can you have some, what's your feedback or what's your recommendations to manage anxiety for things like that you can't control, where there's serious health concerns?
Okay. So just the word control. Can you guys hear me? I know Amanda's kind of, so maybe that's Amanda. You guys can hear me? Okay, good. So yeah, there you go. I see you. So you mentioned the word control, and that's what a big part of that is, right? And so focusing on things that you can control. Something you can control in that moment is supporting your mom, right? Being that ear for your mom, having empathy and compassion for what she's going through, not judging it. And remember, I said at the beginning, not judging whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So when you feel out of control, or there's something in your life that you cannot control, come back to, what is it that I can control? And again, it could be something as simple as picking up the phone. I can control that. And when it also comes to other people, because we could get to a place of, I can't believe she's doing that, right? And being self-righteous and judgmental. It's very easy to do that. We all have the ability to do that. But coming back to, what am I doing? How can I support this scenario? And actually letting go of the outcome, because we can't control another person. We can't control what they're thinking or what they're doing. We can, the good old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So the question is, come back to, what is it that you can do in that scenario? How can you support a positive outcome, and letting go and surrendering to, you don't have control of the outcome, and knowing that you did everything in your power to support an outcome, but that you can't control it. And again, coming back to, what does it mean to you? So you got to remember that your mom's emotions are your mom's emotions, and how much are you taking on those emotions? And so how can you be with her without taking on those emotions and be that non-judgmental listening ear? It's very, very difficult, especially with people that you love and care about and you want to fix and you want to make better, right? Being aware of where do you stop, and then where does your mom start and stop? And same goes for Sandy and her, and your mom and her mom. You know, your mom can support, how does she support her mom? And then again, not having control of the outcome. You can only do so much. You literally can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. And it's tough, because especially if you want to control it, you want it to be positive, you want it to be a good outcome, but we can't control that. Similar to, I laugh, our neighbor down here is actually a brother-in-law. He lives about 4 houses down, and he's putting things on Facebook about, why is that car out there? And there's 3 people got out and they went across the street, and this is supposed to be self-isolation, right? And he's become obsessed with what's going on. But the truth is, we don't know what's going on. I had a close friend of mine. I know I'm talking a lot about death here, because it's been a really grievy, shitty couple of weeks. But a good friend of mine, her brother had an aneurysm, literally, and was found dead. And with her mom in Ottawa. So she came from Toronto and just went straight to her mom, and to go help manage and clean out the house and stuff. So some people could judge that and go, your mom's 82 years old. What are you doing? What are you coming all the way from Toronto and going? But in that situation, out of what was happening, that was the best of the scenarios. We can't control if the mom's going to get COVID-19 or if Kim's going to get, we can't control these things. But in that moment, what was best for all involved, they did. And then the husband and the kids were going to come this weekend to join them in Ottawa, and they made the decision that probably wasn't the best idea. So they're staying back in Toronto, as much as they'd love to come. So there's things that we can control, that we can look at with everything that's going on. What's the best right action for all involved? And that's all you really can do. So I don't know if I helped you there.
Yep, no, that makes a lot of sense.
It's a tough one.
Control what you can control.
Yeah, it's controlling. And then the only thing you can control is how you feel about it. Or you know what? You can't even control how you feel about it. You can actually control how you think about it. Yeah, because the feelings are the feelings, right? I can go into a whole feeling thing too. Anybody else that needs some support?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's a loaded question, but no. I guess, sorry if you've touched on this, earlier in the call, but, what are some things that you're doing to, make sure that you're taking care of yourself? Anything from, making sure you're just not wearing, sweats around the house to, like treating yourself a little bit, because that's something we talked about, when you first spoke with us pre-COVID, right? It's taking care of yourself. So are you doing anything extra to, essentially treat yourself during these times?
Yeah, I love that question, and I did touch on it, because the truth is that I'm human too, and I have all my tools in the toolbox, but sometimes it's nice to not use the tools too. And I'll use an example you'll appreciate. So I spoke about, I don't know if I talked about, I know Rory, you and I had a conversation after the talk about food and comfort foods, and for me, what shifted is the type of comfort foods. What I define as comfort food is totally different than it used to be. And so I've been doing more of the eating foods that make me feel good. But I was already kind of doing that before. So where I shifted, and it might, and again, it can go both ways. So I've been dreaming about pizza. I haven't had pizza probably, I don't know, about year and a half at this point. And I remember saying to Dave, we're gonna get a pizza one night. We're just gonna have a piece of pizza one night, just a piece, right? And so last night, okay, so usually when I come up for these type of calls, I make sure I'm really eating healthy and my mind's clear so I can be fully present. And it's about 12:30. He comes in with a pizza, like a large pepperoni, juicy, yum pizza. So right away I go, this isn't going to be good for me. Like this is, I haven't eaten this kind of food. And then I'm like, you know what? F it. So I ate the pizza. I didn't eat one piece, ate 4 pieces. And nice. You know what? The best pizza ever. And you know why? Because it's something that I had denied myself. Oh, you're not allowed to have that. And so there's that sort of guilty pleasure, similar to shows people might watch, their guilty pleasure. listen, just because you do something or you feel something doesn't mean that that's the way that it's going to be. So it doesn't mean that now every 2 or 3 days at midnight, I'm going to be eating 4 pieces of juicy, yummy pepperoni pizza, right? But it's giving yourself permission to feel and be what it is that you're experiencing in that moment. And this in it too will pass. So I kind of went the other way. So I'm going to, for most, the pizza might be the regular way of eating, right? And so I invite you to start bringing in foods, not changing your diet. The last thing you want to do, especially at times like this, is to go and change the way you do life, because you're already going through change. So to really shift up and change how you're really doing life normally is not going to be a helpful situation. But when it comes to food, you might want to start bringing in things that help with managing stress, managing the brain-gut connection, things like fermented foods. Some of you might laugh and say sauerkraut. Well, have that big roast beef smoked meat sandwich and just load up a bunch of sauerkraut on top, getting that fermented food. Olives, pickles are another great fermented, because 90% of the connection to your mind, your belly, your gut to your mind is through your gut. So keeping your gut healthy helps with anxiety, stress. And I honestly never realized that connection between the stomach or the body and the mental health. My mental health soared as a result of really evaluating how I eat and looking at the type of foods I eat. Things like berries, these are things that are easy. Just add berries to your diet. High in vitamin C, that's also fiber, that's going to help with managing for immunity, keeping your immune system up, keeping your energies up. Oranges, red peppers, and greens. Don't underestimate the greens. And if you're like me, I get lazy sometimes, and I literally will go buy the green juice and just drink the green juice, because I'm not going to be blending and all that. I have done it before, but it's not my thing. So just making sure, eat what you want to eat, but do your best to get those things that will help you manage your stress levels. Things like sugar, being conscious and aware of, eating the bag of candy. How do you feel after? Do you start feeling a little depressed? Do you start feeling like the world's sinking in a bit? It might be a feeling of, oh, that's comfort food. I'm going to have that bag of candy because it gives me a temporary high, but then realizing what happens afterwards. So, maybe have the candy, but bring in all the other good stuff. And I'm telling you right now, once you start bringing all the good stuff in, your desire or craving for those things that you think make you feel good will start to dissipate. But yeah, don't go do anything tragic. So, or anything drastic. So I went a little bit the other way from how I've been doing, and I'm quite proud of myself. Actually, it was really, really good pizza. So that's going to be when I come back to gratitude. I'm going to be like, oh, thank you for having that really great pizza. So again, for everybody, it's different. What brings them joy and makes them feel good. And thank goodness for doggies, because Maggie doesn't let me just sit on my butt. She barks, barks, barks. Has this wrapped around her finger, literally. And at the beginning of the COVID-19 and our self-isolation, I literally was like, Dave's your dog. you take as your dog. It's not my dog. And so it became sort of this thing where he would take the dog out and I would just stay home. I didn't even go do my walking. I thought I'm just not into it. But in the last 2 weeks, I really enjoy. I'll take the dog. I'll go for a walk, and sometimes we go together. So again, just because you're feeling a certain way and behaving a certain way, it doesn't mean that this is the way that it's going to be. So did I have a concern that I'm really becoming a recluse and I'm not even going out and getting fresh air? Part of it was because I'd come back from the UK and I had to stay self-quarantine. So I had a little bit of extra stressors thinking, well, am I allowed to go outside? So that was part of it. Right. But then there was this part of me that goes, don't tell me I'm never going out for a walk again. Like, I don't even have a desire to go out for a walk. And then it shifted. Then I'm like, I really feel like going for a walk. I have that desire to go for a walk. And now I've been walking every day for about 2 weeks. So it's not because I'm saying I have to go for a walk. I go because I want to go for a walk. It changes without putting that pressure on yourself. So those are some of the things. Baking, I've been baking a lot. And those recipes I've been wanting to try, I've been trying now. And what I've found has been happening for me is I'm being called to be more support. So I have a lot of friends and connections, and through Facebook, quite a following that I'm providing support through Messenger and through FaceTime and things of that nature to help them, which makes me feel good. It's something that feeds me and that I have passion for. So at the very, very beginning, I don't know if you heard it, but I said, help me help you. And so I'm grateful for those friends that have literally called on me, because it does help me. It helps me get out of myself and be of service. And when I say this, I'm hoping that you guys at SEO Plus are getting this too, that when you're in a funk and you're really starting to feel it coming down on you, weighing on you, literally get out of yourself. How can you support another person? And it could be as simple as calling your dad. Do you need groceries? Going to the next door neighbor. Is everyone okay here? Can I pick up on something for you? Going outside yourself, either virtually or connecting with the neighbors, keeping that 6 feet away. It really shifts it for you as well when you literally step outside of yourself. That was a long one.
I think just, you made a really good point at the end. It's getting outside of yourself. So yesterday, I had a pretty brutal day just on my end, just all sorts of different things. And I was kind of in a funk, and I was at the end of the day, and I was just thinking to myself, okay, just got to push through. Okay, I don't want to do it. And all of a sudden I just heard like a voice just outside, like, hello. And I look over, and Jess from work is like outside, like right outside my balcony. She's like waving at me, like coming to say hi. And just that right there, like, got me totally out of my funk. I was like, oh my God, a person, like a real life person. I got to go talk to her. And so it was just that one little change. Like, I don't know if you knew how big of an impact it was going to have on me, but it definitely turned my way around. So I think those little kind of things that you can do for other people, it really has a huge positive impact.
For sure. And even if you yourself didn't feel like reaching out, reach out. Because again, that'll get you out of that funk. You go, I don't even know why I'm calling you, but I just need that like real like heartbeat human connection, right? So challenging yourself too, that when you're in that funk, to what can I do to help get me out of that feeling and that vibe, and give you a pep in your step, right?
For sure.
Yeah, that's so important. So this weekend, I'm actually driving down to Ottawa because it's my dad's 82nd birthday on Monday, and we had planned to get together as a party and stuff. And but of course that's not going to happen. So what I'm doing now is I'm going down on Saturday, and I'm picking up a cake for him, but I'm literally doing a drive-by. Like, it's not even going to be going to see him or hugging him, which really sucks because I wish I could. But just giving him that, that he's not forgotten in the isolation. But really, the truth is, it's more about me than it is my dad. So just the fact that I can drive in the car and go down there, I'm not going to, go and see people. I'm literally just going to go and wave at them, drop off a cake, and I'm off. I feel better for that. It actually gives me a pep in my step and something to look forward to. So yeah, don't underestimate that just human being connection. So important as well. Anyone else? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm just looking. Is that anybody else?
No, everyone's super shy.
Yeah, I know.
I had a question, but I think it's been pretty well covered, but I'll still ask it. So one thing I think is super important at this time is the value of routine and structure. I think for us in particular, it's a little different because we are continuing to work, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, where a lot of people who are laid off or otherwise have a lot of time on their hands. So I don't think it's been as much of a challenge, not to understate it, but that we at least have that routine. But can you talk a little bit of the value or the importance of, going to sleep at the same time? You mentioned even things like eating lunch. I know a lot of people probably don't take the time for a lunch break right now, guilty as charged over here. But can you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, how many people wake up in the morning and they go straight to their computer and start working, and then it's 11 o'clock, 11:30, go, oh, I haven't even eaten yet, right? So it's really important to do your best to go keep the schedule that you used to keep. And I did speak about that self-care alone time, even at the end of the day when you transition from the end of the day into your family life, not necessarily having that hard nose, 4 o'clock, that's it, I'm not touching anything, because you might feel better to work till 4:30 that particular day because you're inspired for something, you're creative. So when you do yourself a schedule, don't be stuck on it either and create anxiety and stress around the fact that, oh, I was supposed to be done at 4 and I'm not done at 4, right? So, you know, having that routine, getting up in the morning, eating your breakfast, even if it's small, you know, or having a set time. Again, it's different for everybody. So, you know, for some that might be, I don't know, intermittent fasting. They might not want to eat till noon, right? But making sure that you do whatever works for you. You have those slots in and around with a little bit of flexibility where you can go, okay, this is my self-care time. This is my eating time. This is what I need to do. So that's really important too, to stick to a schedule. And if you're stumped up, especially with the jobs that you guys do and a lot of creativity, if there's something you feel isn't flowing or I'm just not getting this, go to the next project and work a little bit on that and maybe come back and revisit the previous project. So yes, it's good to have a schedule and you have deadlines, you have people that you are committed to, that you have projects completed by. Fully respect that, but invite you not to put that stressor. Again, it's how do you do that schedule, right? And what does that schedule mean to you? And giving yourself that flexibility around that schedule, that getting away from, well, it's 8 o'clock, I should be eating breakfast now. No, you might want to eat a little later, right? So you start work at 8 and then you go, okay, 11 o'clock, I'm taking half an hour to eat my breakfast or make my breakfast and whatnot. So just having those things. That's pretty much my thing about schedule. I mean, truthfully, I'm not a schedule person, so but I know for some people schedule is very, very important. You know, but I'm the type that I go with, you know, I've had deadlines. I know I need to apply certain periods of time, like getting up this morning. I knew I'd be doing this talk with you guys, so yeah, I made sure I had time this morning to review and kind of sit with, you know, how do I want to approach this, and what are some of the things that I feel that you at SEO Plus me need support with, and sort of gear my presentation towards that. So, but I also respect those that sometimes having that schedule is their life jacket. It's their thing that keeps them moving and going. So respecting that as well. Yeah, because you do have staff, and you as staff members as well that I'm speaking to, you have deadlines and stuff that you need to honor as well. So if you're finding a challenge with that, going to your team about ways that how can they best support you to get that job done in maybe in a different way or a different timeline that's been proposed. Because remember, we're taught it's supposed to look this way. This is the way it's got to look, right? And then sometimes people can't meet the way that it looks, but they might be more productive if it looks something different. So not getting stuck on that it's in the box, that it has to be shaped and look like this, and this is the person that fits into that box. So being open and having that communication without the fear of judgment or that you're going to lose your job because I'm having a hard time meeting this deadline. I need support over here so I can perform over here. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. So I just want to go over, we talked about not right or wrong, negative, okay? And then the other one is there was an isolation well-being list that's been going around Facebook that I really, really liked, because one of the things that, and these are some of the tips that will be helpful for you, is these are things that I picked up from it. There's a whole list of them, but I thought these were good basic things to focus on. So be mindful and present to when you're feeling that way, maybe some sound or song. So music, you know, having the music going, for some, having the music going on in the background, maybe getting up and doing a little shimmy, a little jiggle, and getting the body moving for 2 or 3 minutes is very helpful as well. You do something that in your day that gets your heart moving. So it could be that shimmy, it could be going around the block for a walk, and feel something. Maybe something fluffy, something soft, something rubbery, maybe you know, one of those stress balls. Feel something can also help as well. And in your day, just do one thing that makes you feel good, that you want to do. So yesterday, I'm going to go back to that pizza because I'm going to remember that pizza for a while. But that feeling of like, I decided in that moment, you know what, I am going to do this. It's not something I would normally do, but in that moment, that made me feel good. So do something in a day, one thing in a day that makes you feel good. It could be snuggling your cat or giving loving to your doggy. Just something for yourself that makes you feel good. And having a good laugh that humor, having that, sometimes it could be a dark humor, it could be sick humor, it could be inappropriate humor, as long as you have the appropriate people around you to be inappropriate with. These are things too that help heal and bring joy and change the energy and can help with stress as well. So humor is very, very important. And also tend to something living or growing. So I've mentioned Maggie a few times, or Jack Russell. Having Maggie to tend to has helped me, because it's got me outside of myself. It's got me to go out into nature, get some fresh air, a little bit of exercise. And it's giving me something that I feel accomplished with, that I've kept this dog alive literally through the isolation. So it could be a plant. Focus on something living, nurturing that plant, talking to the plant, giving it water, nurturing it. These are also things that will help you when you're not feeling so good, or that you're having those isolation breakdowns or moments. Anything else, guys?
Real quick, if anybody needs a good laugh, I locked myself out on my balcony my second night here at my new apartment by myself, and I had to text my landlord, who is a mom of 2, and she understands what an idiot looks like. So if you guys need a good laugh, yeah, that was terrifying.
That's awesome. But that's an example where you're making fun of yourself, right? Because that was a horrible situation, but you can look back in hindsight and go, oh man, right? And have a good chuckle about it. And I'm sure we all have things that we've gone through that can bring, when we reflect in the moment, may not have been so cool, but we reflect back and think, oh, and so I have to ask you, Rory, did you have clothes on?
Yeah, I did have clothes on. I was actually wearing my bathrobe just because I was just going outside just for a quick breath of air, and yeah, it was kind of funny for my landlord to show up. It had just started snowing. I was wearing slippers. I was very much like night attire, so that was hilarious. But
so basically, it's a great first impression on your new landlord-tenant relationship.
Yeah, I was like, look, I understand you have 2 20-year-old sons, but you're about to have a 31-year-old son that pays you money to stay at this building. So just glad we're on the same page now.
Yeah, and next year ask her when your home cooked meal is going to arrive on the doorstep.
That's an amazing idea.
See, when we work together, the ideas we can come up with. Excellent. One more thing I want to talk about is crying. I don't want to really end on this note, but crying, giving yourself permission to cry. Did you know that when you have an emotional cry, it actually releases the parasympathetic nervous system? And the bonus to this is that it actually releases oxytocin and serotonins in your body. And those are actually feel-good enzymes and hormones. So when you feel a cry coming on, it's okay to cry. Give yourself permission to actually cry, to give yourself a full ugly cry. Just allow the tears to unfold, because it actually soothes you in the long run, and it actually reduces pain as well. So I know for myself, especially when we'll mention Nova Scotia, I have clients out in Nova Scotia, and the first day or so, shock and disbelief, and then yesterday I woke up and I cried like a baby. I cried for grief for all of us that are going through with corona virus, COVID-19. I cried for Nova Scotia. I just allowed the grief to come in and really cried, because when you don't allow those emotions to come up and really feel them, we push them down, and they're going to come out in other ways. They can come in passive aggressive ways. They can come out in anger. They can come out in self-abuse. They can come out in various ways. So it's really important when grief hits you or sadness hits you, to really allow those tears to flow. It actually is a benefit to you. And not judging when they come up, because you might go, well, I didn't have any family in Nova Scotia, why am I crying, right? But especially if you're empathetic and you feel other people, you might be feeling that as well. And even if you do have family out there that you may have been concerned about as well. So paying attention to remember that emotion needs motion. So emotion needs motion and giving yourself permission for that as well. And so I don't want to go, okay, I'm going to sign off and let you all go have a good cry, because maybe you don't feel like doing that. And that's okay too. For some people, they don't feel that. And again, don't judge that for yourself of feeling that. But remember that you have resiliency. You have come this far. We're 5-6 weeks in life in general. We've come to this moment in time, and we are here now. And trust that what has brought you and all your experiences from that moment to now, you've got it in you to move forward and get through this.
Absolutely. Thanks a ton, Yvette. That was really, great chat, great advice. If anyone has any other follow-up questions, is there a way they can reach out to you at all?
Absolutely. So just email info@mentalhealthtrainer.ca. Again, that's mentalhealthtrainer.ca. And feel free to reach out, because I'd like to be able to come back on again in a couple of weeks and touch base where we're all at there. Oh, thank you, Rory, for putting that in the chat. So info@mentalhealthtrainer.ca. There's also, and this is the thing I wanted to mention as well, there's support systems for you. So I did a webinar a few weeks ago called Mental Health Toolbox for COVID-19. I invite you, it's free. Go to mentalhealthtrainer.ca, and a pop-up window, it's your guys' site, so you know how it works. And you just simply put your name and email address in, and I'll send you the replay link. That's free of charge. That's my gift to you. And there's some great insight in there as well that I go into a lot more detail, because it's 2 hours versus a quick 1 hour call here. And in that webinar, on the webinar page on the top right-hand corner is a bunch of resources. So I think it's really important to mention that if you are feeling the stress and maybe you're looking to a substance to support you, maybe you have feelings of suicide or not feeling so good, there's huge resources there for you to click on through the Mental Health Commission of Canada that I find very beneficial for people to still reach out. Just because we are in self-isolation doesn't mean that we can't connect with others and that there isn't support there. There's still support there. So please check that webinar out. There's resources on that page, and connect with me. And if there's something you bring up, and I can always come on another time and discuss those things. Again, going back to Jerry Maguire, for those of you that are my age, help me help you. Have you guys seen Jerry Maguire? Brock, tell me you've seen it.
Seen it, yeah, years ago.
Oh, right. Show me the money. Come on.
Yeah, show me the money. Exactly. So, yeah. So please reach out. I'm here for you. And again, you are helping me by allowing me to help you.
Well, thanks again, Yvette. Really appreciate it, and hope the rest of your day is great.
Yeah, likewise. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Yvette.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you get out of here?